So the question is, what are your considerations when you have your web server and your database server in different locations? Because normally some application developers have a server they use for development, and they have their production server. The production server hosts both the database and the web server, and that is not much of a problem here. But the question now is, what do you do when you want to host your database in a different server and then your web server in a different server altogether? We need to look at a few considerations, because actually I did it sometime. I developed an application meeting room reservation system, and I have to host the database in a different location. In fact, in a completely different location of hundreds of miles away from the current location. So what do you need to put in place in scenarios like this? So I've outlined 4 important things we need to look at, and if you're able to understand clearly these 4 important scenarios or aspects for us to consider, then you will not have any problems when you want to host your web server and your database in different locations. So the first one we consider is connection string settings in your web.config file. You also consider impersonation. Then we look at settings for the IIS, Internet Information Service. We also look at database login and user consideration. So let's say we have I want to this is okay. Okay, good. Okay. So let's say we have let's call this one your web server, and I have another one here. Let's call it DBS. Of course, we have let's look at them in terms of systems. Let's say you have this web server in the system here. Okay, let's just draw the big picture here. Let's look at them as systems. Now you are here. Let's call this one your development server. Okay, so here you have, in the development server, you have your development tools, your Visual Studio or whatever development tool you have. But for now we are considering development using Microsoft technologies here. So this is your development system. You are here. This is your production server where you want to publish your pages, and this is where your web server resides, and this is your database server. And now the development server connects to the database server. What I'm saying in effect is this database server here also serves as your, the database here is what you are connected to, so you work on the live data. Although that's not the best practice, but I do that sometimes. Let's say we have a link. This is database traffic runs on this link here between your database server and your production server. Here we have a one-directional link. We have your web pages. Of course, both your web pages and your config file moves from here to here. Of course, we can have a bidirectional movement here. So now we have a bidirectional movement here because data flows here, and here we have a DB data flow between the web server and the database server. Okay, so this is the scenario we are painting. We have three different systems, completely three different locations. One might be in Lagos, one in Port Harcourt, one in Owerri. Everywhere, different locations in Nigeria. So the first thing we want to look at is the connection string consideration. I'd like us to use the production environment. I'll actually open the application I'm working on and go right to the web.config file. It's loading, so let's take a little break and then we